guy was the #1 skater as a high school kid, as a early college kid. Then something real bad happened. But then he sprungboard off of that, and he became world famous, not only as a coach, but as a guru, if you will, to the best of the best. He teaches the best of the best, but along the way, his faith grew very powerfully so. So we're going to find out his story. I got to tell you, it's going to move you. It's going to move you. So when we come back, Coach Garry Hebert.
I think there's sometimes in life where you meet people and the thought crosses your mind, has this guy ever had a bad day in his life? Just every time you see him, they're full of energy, full of joy, seem like they're full of hope, no matter what circumstances are facing them. And I think Garry Hebert is a man that I would put in that category.
When I was younger, I took classes with his mom, Marsha Breen, down at the old Cohasset Winter Gardens. There was Mike Sullivan, who's with Pittsburgh now, Teddy Donato, who's over at Harvard. There was this, kid out there skating around, unbelievable skater, which later I found out was Garry. And we bumped into each other over the rinks over the last 30 years or so. I've been coaching 30 years, and Gary's been doing skating schools. He is by far one of the most exceptional skaters. That's when I really found out who he was later in life after taking those skating classes that completely enhanced my ability to skate. But the second piece of it was Gary's still one of the top skating instructors in the country as far as, individual skills, individual skating ability. He still has the ability to skate and has a way about him that he can teach skating to anybody.
He helped me progress so much in my development. And I went to Garry when I was in high school. I was amazed, and I was looking to become a better skater myself. And I wanted to be like Garry and wanted to, progress to the next level in college and, the NHL draft coming up as well. And I never knew if I'd be able to get there, but I knew Garry was a great step that could help me in my development to achieve those goals. And I'm so glad that I took that route with him.
Played for 9 years in the NHL, and that was pretty much all because of Garry Hebert. Just an amazing, incredible skills and skating coach, but I think the most impressive thing to me was his ability to motivate, so inspirational.
Coach Hebert came into my life as a gym teacher, a soccer coach, and a basketball coach. I went to a small private school with his sons, and I was blessed enough to have him as a part of my life. Some of the best days of my life I can remember with him on the field, on the courts, whether it be practice or gym class. working hard and having fun to improve. And that is his motto, and it works. And he helped me become a top-level high school athlete. Not only did it help me in my athletics, but it helped me later in life as a combat veteran in the United States Marines and a police officer.
Garry taught me on the ice, but truly, he was teaching not only hockey skills, but life skills. I took about a 3-year gap from going to Garry Hebert skates. My life was an unsteady roller coaster during those 3 years. But when I came back to Garry, I honestly needed his wisdom and guidance more than anything.
Little did Coach Hebert know when he took these coaching and teaching jobs, the impact that he would have on some students. As a teenager, my family split, and I had lost some contact with my father for quite some time. And I was very lucky to have a godly and inspiring man in my life in Coach Hebert on a daily basis.
I thought we knew a little bit about hockey. Well, after watching Garry, talking to my son, and then seeing him in his games, his improvements, his abilities, his thinking, and his maturity have gone way beyond. He's 180 degrees from where he started. And I owe Garry Hebert all of that.
Nothing will bring him down. Whether he had a good day or a bad day, he was even keeled. He brought the passion, he brought the energy and the enthusiasm that that I like to bring to the rink every day. So he's a remarkable man, a great coach, a great teacher, and I have a lot of thanks to give to Garry and what he meant for me in my career.
I am forever grateful that I spent the last 7 years working with Garry. I think that without his teachings and without, I know without his teachings and without, knowing him as a person, I would not be where I am today. I would not be playing college hockey. He is the greatest. He's the greatest coach.
He wasn't able to skate anymore because of head injuries, and he gave back to kids. And I am one of those kids.
Garry was a hockey phenom from his youth, where he garnered more hat-trick patches on his jacket than any kid his age, and the amount of MVP trophies he accumulated from tournaments all over North America piled up. He was becoming a recognized name and touted as a phenom because he was a leading scorer in the country on top-rated teams in the country. He was like growing up with Wayne Gretzky as your brother. And it was awesome because I had a front row seat. I got to see him play at the end of Squirt's Pee-wee in Bantam. I got to see him play through all those. And he had so many hat-trick patches that it filled his entire team jacket. Sleeves, front, back. I mean, there was no room for it. He had to get another jacket and start covering it with AHA hat-trick patches. He won the MVP trophy of the Big Lake Placid tournament 3 times. Then, in a huge North American tournament held in Toronto, Garry was named the MVP 2 more times. He even became an MVP in the highly touted Hockey Night in Boston tournament, as well as the MVP award for the Boston Globe Honors.
In the summer of 1977, I was working at a showcase for high school and prep school hockey players called Hockey Night in Boston. At the time, I was the assistant hockey coach at Cornell. Before the game started, we actually had some combined practices, and I noticed this player who could really skate. Oh my God, could he skate? And I saw him jumping up in the air and doing twirls, and I'm like, what is this? And then I saw him, though, when we were doing drills, stick handling drills, he had great hands, he could stick handle like nobody else there at Hockey Night in Boston. So I started recruiting him.
When we first started there, I think it was one of the first practices, coaches pushed the nets from the goal line up towards the blue line about 10 feet. We were doing those rapid fire circles, both way around the net. But when Garry started skating to the net, I he just kept going straight at the net. I'm like, he's gonna kill himself.
Even looking back, I was on the ice at a young age with Garry Hebert, and he gained some steam and jumped over the net, and I mean, my mind was blown.
And then he bent down, hopped up over the net, landed on his skates. I'm like, who does that? How many people on earth can actually do that? But Garry was one of those guys.
I've known Garry for most of my life. We both played for an organization called the Scituate Braves Ice Hockey. It was run by a legend of hockey around here, Ed Taylor. And it was at the old Cohasset Winter Gardens. And I played against him in a couple of leagues. He was younger than me, a couple of years younger than me, but he was a great skater. It was obviously, he had great speed, great edges, and it turned out that his mom had coached figure skating. She was a coach for a figure skating instructor for years, so he spent a lot of time with her and learned the basic fundamentals of skating.
First time I met Garry Hebert, I think I was a mite, the Scituate Braves. And I think Garry must have been a peewee. And the younger kids always looking up to the older guys at certain tournaments and just at the rink. But Garry was probably one of the elite players back then, winning the state tournament, I think, as a peewee. And always admired Garry for his skating ability. Probably one of the best skaters around.
Dave Silk was one of the oldest ones, and he was with the Olympic team, of course. Dave told Garry way back when Garry was quite young, he said, you know, practice at home, your stick handling. Practice on an indoor-outdoor carpet if you have it in one of the rooms, he said, and practice so that you no longer have to look a golf ball back and forth, heel to toe, heel to toe.
We'll try it. Just to let you know, Father Larry, he taught me
I taught him everything he knows.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
In a tripod, a three-legged stand. 1, 2, 3. Instead of the stick being always off your forehand side, try to rotate your hands so the stick is more off the middle of your feet. Yes. You're still gonna drop down low. Yeah. When you drop down low, the stick goes out front more. When it's out front, you don't have to move your hands up front. Just drop down low, the stick goes up front. Then what you do is you use your wrist roll off the heel. You don't have to use forearm, just wrist roll, wrist roll, wrist roll. Drop, leg goes up off the heel. Now you can start to get quick leverage. Got a girl, roll your wrist, yeah, you're doing it. Yes. You see the difference?
And so he did that over and over again, was ruining the rug, of course, but he was watching TV instead of watching the golf ball, and he was really getting it down. And it was awesome. I said to my husband at the time, we've got to do something. He's ruined the furnace downstairs with puck mounts. Now the rug is gone, but he's got to keep going, so what can we do? Well, we chopped down the pear trees out beside the house, put in a cement block with a basketball net down one end, and then it was street hockey from then on. All the neighbors came up because they didn't skate. But he played street hockey out with every night. They knew we were there. His brothers played, everybody, they were younger. So most people have trouble going from hockey to figure skates. He was the reverse at that point. He picked it up so fast.
He had this board that would put in front of the net. It had 2 slots on the upper left and right hand corners that were a little bit wider than the puck, but not much. Then he had 2 in the middle of the sides, 2 in the lower ones, and then 1 right where the legs would be, where the goalie would have his legs. And he ended up getting so proficient at throwing those pucks, at full speed, mind you, in either a wrist shot, a snap shot, even slap shots, which most people can't control too well. And he would throw these pucks through these slightly bigger holes than the puck, at will. It was crazy. That's how accurate he was. His stick handling was so fast, it was like a cartoon. You wouldn't see the stick, it would just be a blur. And he could do things with that puck that a magician would do. So it was amazing. It was like growing up with not having to pay for some of the best stuff you would ever see in hockey. One dramatic example of Garry reaching almost folk hero status throughout the Boston area involved the time he took a vicious wrist shot from the top of the circle. Garry was known for his skating and puck handling prowess, but his reputation as a wicked shooter preceded him. In that moment, on that fateful day at the old Weymouth rink, fans stood in shock and bewilderment as they witnessed the sheer velocity and force of Garry's pro-caliber shot, which struck the goaltender in the dead center of his mask, resembling a scene right out of the Twilight Zone. Garry's shot actually ended up splitting the mask in two, knocking the goaltender out and down as the puck trickled over the goal line. It came to be known as the shot heard around the league.
I gotta tell you, as a goaltender, Garry was just spectacular. I got to play with him in high school. I was a freshman when he was a junior, and I still remember the first times he came down on me. I had never seen anybody skating at me that fast, and he was so elusive. He was moving all over the place, and his hands were quick, and it made it a lot of fun. He by far is one of the best skaters I've ever seen. I would say that I would rank him up there with the greatest skaters of all time, from Bobby Orr to what's that kid, Connor McDavid or something like that. He's a pretty good skater as well. Paul Coffey, and I know I'm putting a high praise and a high level, but to be honest with you, he was that spectacular. Garry could do it all. I've been involved in hockey my whole life. I started coaching in high school with my high school coach, Frank Quinn. One of the best coaches I ever had, probably the best coach I ever had, that gave me a chance. And that's when I first encountered Garry, when I was in high school playing Archbishop Williams, and Garry was at Thayer Academy under another legendary coach.
And then he got accepted to go to Thayer. He played there for Arthur Valicenti, who was a renowned hockey coach, who's had a lot of famous hockey players through the years.
Arthur Valicenti was the greatest high school hockey coach ever. He's an amazing leader of men, a tactician, and anybody who met him wanted to play for Arthur. He would go to the wall for you. He wasn't afraid to share his opinion with you, and he was just a great hockey player. And Thayer Academy at that time was a powerhouse. We had some of the best players in the greater Boston area on our team, so it was competitive just to make the varsity at Thayer back in those days.
And I went to a Catholic high school, Archbishop Williams, and we were rivals, and we played them in high school. We had some real battles with them.
Garry then went on to be honored with the most prestigious award, being named an All-American while attending the hockey powerhouse prep school Thayer Academy. It was there where Garry's stardom continued to shine, as if everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. He was labeled as the best pure skater in the world at the age of 16 by the Montreal Canadiens, and they predicted he would be a first-round draft pick.
Garry was unique in that he was, I think, the captain of three sports. And he was the lead in every play: cross-country, hockey, and baseball. And he was as good at baseball as he was a great center fielder. I know that Arthur Valicenti, the coach, said that he was probably the best center fielder that ever came through Thayer. But he was known for hockey, and I think it's just indicative of anything that Garry did. He did well. I think it's part of it's genetic. Obviously, his mother was a incredible competitor, and I think she really, part of it's genetic and part of her coaching that made him who he is.
He could turn, neutral zone one-on-one battles into breakaways. He was just, if you didn't keep your eye on him and didn't keep him in check, he would change the game. And teams that we played against were always wary of that, but they always had a hard time defending against it. He was special in tight areas where you only had that much room to get off a shot. He had such a quick release on his wrist shot, snapshot. and it had such accuracy and power behind it. Those shots were so accurate, they were lethal. And when he took a slap shot, he rarely missed. He was definitely one of those guys.
Garry was a born leader. He was a born leader. I mean, Garry was obviously a great hockey player, but you've heard all about the hockey stuff. Garry was captain of our cross-country team. And if you look at Garry, he doesn't have the physique of a Kenyan, all right? Garry was a running back on the football team until he broke his ankles. And his mother said, no more. And he went out for cross-country, and he became captain. And he grounded out. He was really fast. Heaven help if he came into that Thayer football field behind anyone else in second place, heaven help that person. Because Garry could sprint. And he would gut it out every time and beat who was ever ahead of him.
Even in golf, he would be so good at golf that PGA club pros would literally look at his parents and say, he has everything it takes to go pro one day.
Thayer has I describe the Thayer theater program today as another varsity sport. It's great. When Garry was there, it was not the same. It was all the talented kids did it, and he could sing, and he could act, and he loved it. I have no doubt that as a senior, if Garry had said hockey wasn't going to be his future and acting was going to be, you would have been reading about him in Playville for the past 40 years, 50 years. I have no question about that. He was that talented.
He was doing ice shows and ice choreographies, as if they were just something natural. I mean, a lot of that comes from Marsha, right? You consider that she danced with Sammy Coe, and I think a lot of that rubbed off on my uncle.
I rank him as one of the best in the world. Not only at that time, if I looked at from a generational standpoint, there's players that stand out as far as skill level goes, and Garry's skill level was through the roof.
He became co-captain, and he was president of his class also, so needless to say, he had some good things going for him when it was time to recruit.
I say this sincerely, and we had a class of really nice people in 1978. Garry, and I've said this to anyone who I've mentioned Garry Hebert to, he was the nicest kid in my class, bar none. He was always kind. He was always thoughtful. He lived outside his body. It wasn't about him. He was always into other people and what they were doing. He was always interested. He was always engaged, and he's led a remarkable life.
It never surprised me that Gary's good at something because he worked his butt off at everything. Academically, he was always at the top. He was president of his high school class multiple times at Thayer Academy, not just any school.
Yeah, he was always a worker, not just in the hockey. Like right from the get-go, he was just super driven, motivated, and that's how he works when he's not on the ice too. After that, he busts his butt at everything he does. And so he set a good example for me and our other brother, the middle brother, Chris. And we had a close relationship. We still do. We live a few hours away from each other now, but we're in contact, and we'll always love each other. We have that brother bond. We protect each other.
He came in as a really special kid, and when I met him, I found out that he was a great teammate. He's a great hockey player and a great friend. He was dedicated beyond belief, and that's what separated him and made him special. When Garry and I played there, looking back, we were the foundation of the greatness to come. And when I say that, there was a lot of greatness. We had incredible players led by David Silk. So you had Silky, and then you had players like Tony Monty, All-American at BU. He was an NHL All-Star in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame and should be in the Pro Hockey Hall of Fame. Jeremy Roenick, who's in the NHL Hall of Fame. Mike Motto, who was an All-American at Boston College, and he won the Hobie Baker, had a great NHL career. Ryan Whitney, who everyone knows from Spittin' Chicklets, who had a great high school, college, and pro career. He's a number 5 overall draft pick the year he was drafted. Then you had players like Brooke Orpik and Charlie Coyle, who were both first-round draft picks and had great college careers. So Thayer has churned out great talent, Division I, NHL players for a long time. When Arthur Valseni united Garry and I, we became part of that. We were very competitive, very skilled, very talented, and one of the dominant lines in Massachusetts high school hockey at the time. There were quite a few of those guys, but we were right up there at the top. And take a lot of pride looking back on that, the talented players I played with. But with Garry, he was so powerful as a skater. He had such speed, agility. It's kind of like nasty. Like he had this thing, we didn't know that term back in the day, but escapability. He could get out of situations. You just couldn't hit him. You couldn't touch him. He would either head fake you and dangle you, or he would power around you, or he would back up and go sideways, like stuff that wasn't common back in the 70s. That's what Garry was doing. He was just like a next level talent. And Garry was just somebody who I'd never seen anything like that before. And this was before social media. There's no social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook or anything else that you were able to know what was going on anywhere. You know, you either read it in the paper or you were talking to somebody on the phone. That's how our social media was back in the day. But everyone heard of Garry Hebert. Best example of this is that, you know, when we were in high school, we played against many good teams. Our biggest competitor was Belmont Hill. They were led by Mark Fusco, who won the Hobie Baker at Harvard, and David Burke, great player at Harvard also. So there was a game back in our senior year where we were tied, you know, going to the end, and they come down, they take a shot on net, goes behind the net. Our defenseman, Al Litchfield, passes it up to me. I get it on the right boards. I see Garry cutting through the middle. We made eye contact. Now, we'd known each other's tendencies so well for being line mates for 4 years that the play was set. I turn, I flip the puck up and over the Belmont Hill defensemen who were on the blue line because we were in their offensive zone, our defensive zone. The puck lands right on the center ice dot. Before those Belmont Hill defensemen could even turn around, Garry had the puck at center ice. Before anybody on either team made it into the Belmont Hill zone, Garry was taking a shot on the goalie. Like, nobody was even close. He was that explosive and that fast. And in typical fashion, dropped his shoulder, held it, changed his body position, dragged it, and rifled a shot up top right corner. Typical Garry type of goal. Special, clutch, at the right time of the game. He was just that kind of player.
He would even be named as a final tryout alternate on what would become the famous Miracle on Ice 1980 gold medal winning Olympic team, which would turn out to be one of the greatest David versus Goliath sports stories ever witnessed.
I was an alternate in the second to last tryout of the famous 1980 Olympic team. I wasn't going to make the team. I was 2 years younger than everyone. But there were only two 18-year-olds in that team that made it to the alternate status of that two tryouts away from Herb Brooks' famous team. I actually played with David Silk on that team and against Jim Craig, who was the famous goalie who draped the flag over his body.
So I had a chance to play with Silky. You know, Garry and I both did for a couple of years.
On an Olympic team which consisted of nothing but 20 and 21-year-olds. This is quite a feather in his cap and really puts into perspective just how good Garry was as an 18-year-old, as he would find himself in contention for a bona fide spot on an Olympic roster with players that were 2 to 3 years older than him at the time.
That is a story for the ages. That was a David and Goliath story. And what did Herb Brooks do? He masterfully brought that team, what was it, 2 weeks, inside a month before the big Olympics, and he had them played Team Russia, and they got squashed. I think they got slaughtered 11-2. And it was a wake-up call. And when they fought the Russians again, and they locked horns again in Lake Placid, 1980, they were ready.
In his senior year at high school, Garry was remarkably considered one of the top 5 Division I college recruits in the country. Garry received offers as the #1 blue-chip recruit for Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Princeton, Boston College, Dartmouth, and Brown University.
And he went to visit. Many of them spent a weekend at Harvard, spent a weekend here, there.
But he chose to go to University of Vermont, where he was a budding star on the team.
We both almost went to Colgate. We were both looking to go to Colgate at one point in time, but we split up. Garry went to Vermont. He's a highly recruited athlete up there.
a public Ivy League school where he would become a colorful standout and fan favorite of the nationally ranked Catamounts. The team was ranked number 7 in the country in Garry's outstanding freshman year. The team would taste the number 1 ranking of the NCAA Division I hockey team polls in his sophomore year.
When he got to Vermont, he felt like this is home. And he just loved it up there. So full scholarship up to Vermont.
And then, you know, when he was in college, he was always acing everything and, you know, keeping that full-time schedule of classes plus the full-time hockey. That's not easy. A lifetime of devotion, passion, and dedication had led Garry to the pinnacle of achievement and recognition in the sport he loves so much.
Then I went to University of New Hampshire, and he was at University of Vermont. In those days, they called it Groovy UV. And they had a really good team, and they'd take down some French kids from Quebec, and they had some really good players, and Garry had a real good career at UVM with the Catamounts. He could really accelerate. He had great posture. He's got a low base. Garry's built like a Ray Bork style mini Ray Bork as far as his legs and butt and hips, and he exudes huge power with his skating style. He's in a low crouch. He's very powerful.
Garry was on the fast track as a highly anticipated first-round draft pick, and all seemed well. All of Garry's hard work was paying off. He was considered one of the elite players in the world. His full scholarship to nationally ranked UVM had guaranteed him an abundance of playing time in the role of second-line center as a freshman.
He used to come out before the game and skate around and jump and do flips and twirls, and when the mascot would try to liven up the crowd, and my team would all be getting dressed and would hear the roar of the crowd, and guys would go look through the little glass window in the door to the locker room, and they'd look out and they'd see a guy in the UVM uniform skating, jumping, doing spins and pirouettes, and they ran and they looked up his number, and number 16, they saw his name, Garry Hebert from Situate, Mass, and they yelled at me. They said, "Sean, there's some guy out here that's flying through the air, doing flips and turns," and I knew right away. I said, "It's got to be Garry Hebert."
So the depth of a man's character is judged by the fruits of his family. And if you go to any one of Garry's on-ice sessions or camps, more than likely you're going to meet his wife, Michelle. There's a partnership there. It's an enduring partnership.
While at UVM, Garry would marry the love of his life, Michelle Hebert, a woman that would also be his number 1 fan. She would go on to be the bedrock and foundation of not only his career, but his faith in God, himself, and other people. Garry considers her to be the truest blessing in his life. Her heartfelt devotion is like an angelic presence, and her genuine prayer life is so rich, authentic, and efficacious. She's admired for her faith by all who know her. Garry will be quick to tell you that it is her prayers that have moved mountains repeatedly.
Obviously, besides God, I know him the best, and I know that he's had numerous things happen to him that have not been the best, and throughout life there's been people with ill motives. I can't do it. I cried. And because of what he's been through, I'm very proud of him that he, for the most part, has given it all the disappointments and the trials he's given to God, and that he uses those things to bring out the best in other people and to help them in their life.
Michelle, my wife of 41 years, who, by the way, is a saint. She's Lebanese with big brown eyes, and she's just as sincere as the day is, and she's beautiful from the inside out, and she spends time in prayer. She spends her time in earnest, devout prayer. No substitute for that.
Garry and Michelle are family to me. And honestly, if you're lucky to even spend 5 minutes in their presence, I hope someday you recognize how priceless that time with them really was.
But then, at the end of a super freshman campaign, Garry suffered a major debilitating knee injury.
He's had offers from pro teams to come teach their kids how to skate. You know, we're talking professional athletes and stuff. And time again, it just keeps coming up of how good he is with all his injuries.
Garry paid a heavy price, as the severity of the injury itself would end up costing him the draft, as all the interested NHL teams would wait to see how Garry would bounce back. The way the injury took place and how Garry responded left people in shock. The UVM school newspaper described the incident as, quote, blunt force trauma, unquote. With explosive speed, Garry tried to split two University of Maine defenders in the second-to-last game of the year and almost got away with the feat, but was partially sandwiched. The two defenders collided with one another, hitting each other so hard that one broke his nose and the other one broke his helmet. Upon the violent impact, Garry did a flip and got a shot off while in midair. He almost split the two defensemen, but his knee got clipped and hyperextended, causing extensive trauma to the blown-out knee. Players could hear two audible pops which occurred when Garry incurred violent contact that hyperextended his knee. This severe damage to the knee involves severing the medial collateral ligament as well as the anterior cruciate ligament, which were torn right off the bone. After having blown out both his ACL and MCL ligaments, while also sustaining meniscus damage. Unbelievably, to everyone's amazement, Garry miraculously got up, writhing in pain, and skated off the ice on one leg. The trainers in the athletic department still talk about it to this day.
And then I had a number of injuries. I have 2 screws in each knee. I have 2 pins in each shoulder. I have open heart surgery. I was on the table for 13 hours. I've had a number of head injuries, very severe. One knocked me into a coma. Multiple fractures of the cheekbone. It was an off-ice injury. Should have died. A day or 2 later in the hospital, they re-x-rayed my face, and all the multiple fractures of the cheekbone and the brain damage was healed miraculously. So for some reason, God just keeps me hanging around, because there's many other occasions, 3 in particular, where it was near-death experience. I should have died, and I didn't.
Garry's bravery, perseverance, and endurance has always been a trademark of his performances. But as the University of Vermont newspaper would underscore, it was Garry's colorful and impactful, aggressive play that embodied a brand of toughness and grit that made him a stylish and fearless standout and leader on the ice. The school paper would infamously call him the death-defying freshman threat, Mr. Garry Hebert, as they recalled him trying to vault 2 Maine defenders, and the Catamounts would miss Garry dearly going into the playoffs.
Garry teaches the mental toughness side of the business very, very well, both on a personal level and on a sports level. To me, he was a very strong influence in my life on the mental capacity side, as well as on the hockey skills, skating, stick handling side of the world as well.
As if these trials were not enough in the formation of Garry's internal strength, how about the fact that Garry came within a whisker of deciding to leave UVM after a super freshman year of collegiate achievement? It is important to note that these stormy events occurred against a backdrop of extremely difficult and messy divorce proceedings in his mom's life at the time. This agonizing decision was due to some tumultuous difficulties confronting his mother back home. The severe trial she was suddenly facing involved a financial hardship that was likely to force her to lose her house. The impossible crisis, which was no fault of her own, would once again test Garry's mettle and put him at the crossroads of an extremely costly decision to set his dream aside for the sake of the greater good of another, despite whatever personal cost would be involved. Garry knew that his personal support and protection were required by his mom due to the critical needs she had at that time. A lot was at stake, and once again, Garry was about to do what had to be done to step in and help be a catalyst for positive change, even miraculous change. when he notified his college coach, legendary Jim Cross, of his intention to pull out of school in order to go home to help his mom, who was in time-sensitive need of her oldest son's help. Both Garry and his college coach cried because of the sacrifice Garry was about to make for his family by putting his athletic career on the shelf for the sake of saving his mother's homestead.
Garry spent a very good amount of time talking to us and teaching us lessons about being good people and the importance of life beyond sports. You know, coaches want good players, they want to produce skilled athletes.
Takes it into the near corner, far corner, taken here by Romano. Romano tries to keep it in. Romano digs for the puck. Ava Romano centering pass, score! Sends the Continentals to the quarterfinals.
But they forget about, you know, the importance of character, and you know that's something that Garry really prioritizes. And I think this is so invaluable because there's going to come a point in all of our careers where, you know, we're not playing hockey anymore. We're not playing sports, and what's going to be left is who we are as people and the lessons that these sports have taught us. And Garry understands that, you know, obviously he cares about our athletic development, and he does a phenomenal job coaching the sport of hockey, but he also spends a great deal of time and cares primarily about who we are as people, and I think that that's invaluable.
Garry had gotten so close to his teammates, professors, and fans, and they would frequently comment, "I can hardly wait for next year." Garry would give a muted smile and say, "Yeah, me too," knowing this was the end of the road. There would be no next year. He did his best to hide his sorrow, only sharing it with his coach. He had made so many super friends, but now it seemed the promise of what was to be an incredible star-studded 4-year career as a fan favorite at UVM was over. Garry says that he will never forget the feeling, which can best be described as simply grief-stricken over the prospect that it was now all gone. He says he will never forget the compassion that his coach had for him during this agonizing and costly decision. Garry's mother insisted that he not leave college and destroy his scholarship and future hopes and dreams of a pro career. Despite her pleas, Garry would not be dissuaded in his pursuit to do the right thing and fix his mother's plight.
I think most people that have worked with Garry would tell you that there are some days that what he bestows upon you in a mental capacity is even more important than what he does from a skills capacity. What you soon start to realize is the things that you learn from Garry are not just for the time being while you're playing hockey, that they stay with you. How to be a compassionate person, much like how he coaches.
He was also always talking about developing passionate players, compassionate teammates, and I know that really instilled a lot of core values into everyone that he coached, and I believe it made a major impact in their lives, you know, far beyond the hockey rink. But of course, you know, when it came to hockey, you know, in my opinion, Garry, you know, he's got to be the best power skating coach in North America, and he helped so many players and coaches reach their fullest potential. Many actually had the chance to go beyond playing at the collegiate level and even the professional level, and some even to the Olympic level. And I believe they really carried that torch of positivity, so to speak, that Garry really brought to the ice every day.
Garry was meant to lead, and by that I mean if you're going to be a leader of any organization, or you're going to be a coach, or people are going to listen to you and they're going to do what you say, you have to be able to demonstrate that you're willing to sacrifice. You have to sacrifice, and you have to be willing to show that you can do anything that you're asking others, and you would do what you're asking others to do. Yeah, and Garry, that's the way he led. There's nothing that he couldn't do himself, so people followed him.
He would drain himself mentally and emotionally to to be positive and joyful and to bring the best out of people and to make them feel like they had someone that was walking with them by their side, to encourage them and to uplift them. And sometimes that is massive in sports. But one of these examples was that he would sometimes do this to his own detriment. So there was one time where I think it was a client, well, his parents and them and the family, he had gotten tickets to like some theater event. And I must have been like, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15 years old. And so we were all going to this event. We kept telling my dad we have to cancel because he woke up with like horrible food poisoning. He was puking, nonstop. He was extremely sick. And he wouldn't do it. He was like, we're going to go and I'm going to put on a happy face and I'm going to make them feel special and I'm going to honor them because this was a gift that we're given to them and I need to do that. But I don't know anybody else that I've ever seen that would do something like that.
So he had a lot of stuff going on with all of the students or the players that he mentored, that he coached, but he definitely put God first. He put his family right up there, God, family, faith, all of that. That's who my dad is.
Once again, Garry would show his trademark trait of heroic virtue with a theme of selfless giving, serving, and sacrifice on behalf of another's highest good was paramount. He would once again buckle his chin strap as the good warrior he is. Garry would do his duty as the family protector he had always been, despite the personal cost. Fortunately, at the last minute, the chaos at home seemed to miraculously be resolved, due in large part to Garry's intense help. Needless to say, the toll that this episode took on Garry's emotions was nearly crushing. He would once again be called upon to intervene most constructively while being under tremendous duress. Unfortunately, this was a position he had found himself in all too often, even as a child, often playing the role of mediator, bridge builder, and unifier. These emergencies, which require precision, diplomatic skill, and insightful conflict resolution, are characteristics that Garry had shown an unusual aptitude for from an early age. Garry felt like the stress of this chapter of his life could be likened onto a kind of personal Cuban Missile Crisis. He is so thankful that after having given his notice of needing to exit his beloved university, teammates, friends, and future hockey career, that God miraculously brought his hockey career back to life at the 11th hour.
Well, you look at his kids and grandkids, and they are all amazing, and to me, that speaks volumes. He's been a great son to us. Anytime you need him, he's there for you, especially in times of crisis and need. So, as far as that goes, I can't say enough about Garry as a stepson.
And he's been a wonderful son, a wonderful father himself. I can't say enough of how he's been with all his family and with me. He's never been anything but good to me.
Another unbelievable piece of Garry's story, which simply cannot be overlooked, is the fact that in his early years, Garry was the victim of a heinous crime. The true nature of the criminal trauma that Garry endured in his childhood and the most stunning revelation as to just how high the mountain of recovery and healing would be, and has been for Garry over the years, is best revealed in the dramatic statements from a doctor who interviewed and helped Garry in the process of recovery from acute PTSD. This doctor friend of Garry's is no ordinary doctor. He's a renowned psychologist and Harvard professor who has been featured on daytime television for his books on recovery and healing from severe abuse and PTSD, especially to special victims of crimes.
I came from a very, very, very upsetting and dysfunctional childhood of origin, let's just say. There were some unspeakable things that occurred, and it took me years to understand and get over that. But publicly, I was a great guy. Internally, I was pretty stormy.
Although the emotional scars would last a lifetime, Garry's powerful story of healing and conversion would end up being used by God to profoundly touch the lives of countless others. To understand this root of destructive harm is to understand the root of Garry's depth of compassion, hope, joy, and gratitude. In regarding Garry's path to God-given enlightenment regarding true healing, peace, and forgiveness, is to understand the root of Garry's incredible ability to face trials, trauma, and crisis with grace, fortitude, and faith. The doctor states emphatically and with much admiration, the many victims of such crimes find themselves often in lifelong unrecoverable states and cycles of self-destructive behaviors and lifestyles, with such stellar and exemplary influence on so many people in so many profound ways. He also said that it was certainly Garry's faith and the angels that gave him the fortitude and otherworldly strength to overcome this invasive evil, to beat such odds and turn into such an empathetic pillar of hope to other suffering souls in need of a true exemplar of light. The way towards survival and flourishing is amazing.
So I noticed I would travel around and speak and sing at all these places, get to know leaders and priests and deacons and pastors. My life was Christ, but I loved bringing the love of God to other people in transformative ways. I love seeing that miracle occur. But secretly, deep inside, Jim, I always felt disqualified from that love myself. The truth be told, there was an impediment put in my life, a roadblock, because of evils that were done. It was really bad.
In this way, Garry has become an agent of hope to many hurting souls due to the compelling nature of his story. Many victims of such invasive evil are considered irreparably damaged, save for the grace of God. In the doctor's humbled words, he concludes that Garry is quite simply a one in a million by the grace of God, highlighting vibrant health and wholeness mentally, physically, and spiritually. Garry considers this no small miracle. Garry's remarkable character was forged from within, with a will to overcome, with the knowledge that he was never alone. Garry knows full well God made otherworldly provisions of angels on his shoulders when life was at its darkest and most destructive evil stage. Garry, like his mothers and brothers, is a survivor literally and figuratively. Whatever Garry would face later in life, no matter how heavy the crosses he would come to bear, any of those crosses would end up feeling like a much lighter styrofoam cross as compared to the nightmarish trauma which Garry had to endure to become a beacon of grateful joy, passion, and courage. Thus, Garry remains grateful for the many gifts and blessings God has given throughout his life. He is especially thankful that God brought him through the crucible of the fires of these unfortunate hellish events, which often mark a soul for a lifetime of confusion, bitterness, and self-destruction. Garry is grateful that God graciously removed him from the wreckage of a near-death experience with the jaws of life, the most powerful and mystical Holy Spirit. The indebtedness Garry feels to the good Lord above is like that of a person who has been rescued from a shipwreck and who has been given a second lease on life. To that end, Garry now makes every effort to redeem the time he has been given for the greater glory of God in word and deed.
It was a hang-up that not until I entered the church in the sacred space with a crucifix hanging over the tabernacle, where the real presence was, that I experienced a change. And it was, oh my gosh, a lasting change at last.
The part that brings me to tears, like my younger brother PJ, I was 9, almost 10 when he was born. And he gives me credit. He talks about how, it wasn't until the 4th intervention that he got clean. This is a 6'4" guy. Beautiful, just gorgeous model, good looks. Hollywood good looks. He had the girls all over him. And he confesses, look, I was all about womanizing, drinking, drugging. I made a life out of that and fighting.
Mine's no different than most people. I had all kinds of different traumas done to me too. I don't hold anybody against anything now. That's from the past. I didn't get PTSD from it, luckily. Garry, back in 2014, I was on a mad tear for like that year. I should have been dead 1,000 times. And so he had like 4 interventions, and then finally after the last one, it stuck. So since then, it's been pretty good for 10 years. I'll tell you right now, if you can get it, if you've never been sober or anything like that, if you can get a taste of it, even just for a while, just to feel the freedom and how good it feels, even if you relapse, you might say, hey, I remember how that felt, and go back to it. And so I just hope that for any addict that you get to at least try it. I relapsed a bunch of times, but I kept going back because I knew maybe sometime it'll stick. So I should be a statistic like a lot of us out there, but I'm not.
And my other brother and I, who's brilliant, he's like a poet. My second brother, he's also big and very tough, but so tender-hearted and brilliant. He's off the charts in his IQ test. Unbelievable empathy. You can look right through you. And he also was harmed, tremendously, almost like the movie Deliverance as a kid. It's a long story. And so was my younger brother. So anger issues, you think?
What you got to understand is my big brother was the protector of the family. And from a young age, he was always standing between us and things that were going to do harm to us or people that were going to do harm to us, try to protect us from the badness that was going around when we were really young. Whatever combination of things, he was seen as our protector, as the trendsetter, as the example, and he took that role very seriously.
Biggest thing that you did, I think, was that you created a safe place on the ice where I could go and other kids could go, and Collins did it too, and fail and feel like you're not going to scream. We trusted you to lift us up. And I think there's something here along, you weren't safe as a kid, right? So you wanted to make everybody else safe, whether it's in your family or in what you do, your religious path.
Yeah.
And, you've done it. You make everybody safe because you weren't safe. And I feel like that's a real gift,
Well, I appreciate that. So I swore I wasn't going to cry, but that which comes from the heart reaches the heart, right? So I think that oftentimes the degree of empathy or compassion a person has is forged in the flames and the fire of suffering and pain to some degree or another, right? And in my case, there was a grievous bunch of things that happened in a life and death circumstance with threat of life and death. I don't want to, we don't need to get graphic about that. But the point is that it's like, to some degree, some things that happen to people are more grievous and grave in their effects than other circumstances. I've been told by some world-class experts have helped me through this that it was no small thing that happened to me. But at one point when I was with a special counsel of special victims, I'll never forget this. He said, you've never cried about, what happened to you. And he said, the only time you cry is when you talk about what happened to your brothers. And so I just said, well, because I love my brothers.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name, sing like never before. Oh my soul, I worship your holy name. I worship your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name, sing like never before. Oh my soul, I worship His holy name. I'll worship His holy name. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning our song shall rise to Thee. Only Thou art holy, merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity. God bless the Station of the Cross, radio that we love. Stand beside her and guide them through the night with the light why we form. God bless the staking of the cross, the radio that we love. God bless Jim and Joe and Ride, the station of the cross.
Garry has been touched by God in some dramatic and unmistakable ways, and he knows firsthand the blessings of God. Consequently, he feels the weight of responsibility to share the healing remedy that only God can provide through his Son, the crucified one, Jesus, who hangs on the cross on our behalf, in order that we may be saved and raise our voices in triumphant worship of a God whose love for us is beyond all measure. Garry knows full well he is nothing more than a trophy of God's grace. Garry has come into a deep understanding of the scripture that talks about God's power being made perfect in weakness. Quote, "For when we are weak, then we are strong in him, for God's power is made perfect in our weakness," unquote. Garry finds comfort in the scripture that says, quote, "God is closest to the brokenhearted," unquote. And as the psalmist of the Old Testament says, quote, "A bruised reed thou wilt not break, and a smoldering wick thou wilt not snuff out," unquote. Garry knows that the God of the universe has taken his fragile, short earthly life and raised it up from the ashes against all odds, and supremely put back the broken pieces of a life that now glows with purpose and meaning, but best of all, a life of faith, hope, and love. We are all truly better for knowing a man whose testimony stands as an example of one who never gives up, even amidst strong and stormy headwinds, but who also places his hands in the hands of the one who holds us all in the palm of his hands, the God of heaven, who one day calls us to his throne. May we all be the beneficiaries of Garry's generous example of how best to fulfill the mission he personifies, to recognize that we are blessed by God to be a blessing to others.
I'm an athlete. You want to hear about some accolades? You want to hear about some things? You want to hear about some success stories? That's great. And championships, and it's all wonderful. It's great. I'm not making light of that. But all that matters when you die is what you do for God. And one day we're all going to have to give account. Amen? All of us. It's just me. In my entire life, God won't have to judge me. My conscience, the God-given conscience, will judge myself. So he's preserved me for such a time as this to share the good news that this is not our home. Our home awaits.
Is hockey fun?
Yeah!
Should it be fun?
Yeah!
Is it hard work?
Yeah!
But it's like the old Army commercial, one of the best commercials I ever saw, one of the best pieces of marketing I ever saw. What did it say? The Army commercials, those guys, blood, sweat, and tears, going through obstacle courses with guns, doing all this kind of stuff, manly stuff, women are out there, what does it say? The Army. It's the toughest job you'll ever love. You gotta love work ethic. You gotta love things that cost you something, because that which is obtained too cheaply is esteemed too lightly, right? You don't pay the cost for it, is it really worth anything? When you dig deep and you pay the cost, and you forge a true, genuine character with a deep, hidden root system that your parents have spent time with you on, that you've spent time building virtue in your life, developing noble-minded characteristics of excellence in your life, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Right? Yeah!
His epic speeches could turn the tide of a game just like that. It truly felt like I was in the presence of greatness, listening to Garry Hebert in the locker room.
In his professional life, Garry has climbed to the top of the hockey industry, which he has loved over all these years, despite much pain and suffering and many setbacks. Garry has had many a heartbreaking loss and many a broken and dashed dream.
Unfortunately, the plan isn't always what it is, what you like it to be. But Garry Hebert is someone who's taken adversity, turned it into opportunity, and continued to thrive and to give back. And just an amazing human being, an amazing hockey player. I wish I got to see him play in the NHL. I wish I would have played against him.
Not many can say that they have been a championship player and coach at numerous levels, and certainly not many can say that they have sustained numerous traumatic injuries and surgeries to every extremity of their body with otherworldly strength. Just listen to the following stunning facts. Garry has 2 screws in each knee, 2 pins in each shoulder, hundreds of stitches, multiple fractures, and open heart surgery. In one of his knee surgeries, he almost died on the table and was temporarily paralyzed from the waist down. However, the doctors, who were scrambling feverishly in the operating room to regain his pulse, witnessed Garry recover in shock and amazement. Another dramatic happening occurred in 2017 when Garry found himself on the operating table for a near-record 13 hours.
And when I went under the knife, for who knows, it was going to be near record 13 hours. It was right after I'd come back from being invited out to Norway to work with pro players, Olympic players from Finland and Sweden and Germany and Norway. And it was televised, and there was all sorts of things we did. And I was doing 360s and shoot pucks at 100 miles an hour and dazzling them with all this stuff and using my God-given talent to show them ways they could improve their game and last longer in the sport they love.
Try it. Outside edge rolls. Your body parts are moving harmonistically. Your extremities are moving in motion. Pull it behind you. Go backwards with it. Around with it. Lefties go left. Righties go right. Front foot gathers. Back foot hooks in. And drop. Woo!
You know, to look back at when I flew back from Norway, I told my beautiful wife, Michelle, I don't feel right. There's something going on with my heart. And I'd already been starting to be looked at once a year for my heart because it's a genetic thing. My grandparents died of it. It's an aortic aneurysm.
Because of his work with the Bruins, Garry had access to the top cardiac doctor in Boston.
And they discovered an aortic aneurysm. We got back. He looked at me. He came in with a very grave face. He said, hey, for some reason there's been a change. And he put the brim of his glasses up his nose. For some reason there's been a change. And I thought my wife was like, she's like, oh no. He goes, you are in the 11th hour of heart failure, and we need to get you on the table soon, because at any moment that thing can burst.
This major cardiac surgery was deemed necessary and time-sensitive immediately following Garry's guest appearance in Norway. The problems were worsening at an alarming rate. He was prayed for by many faithful friends and loved ones while in the hospital. Once again, due to complications, he could have died immediately following the operation. God miraculously saved him yet again, along with the incredible skill and training of the doctors. Most pivotal was Garry's angelic wife praying innumerable and faithful rosaries with laser-focused holy intent. She prayed earnestly for successful recovery for extremely risky procedures and for steady hands and focus of the entire surgical team, that God touched them all with his guidance.
I know there's a policeman in our midst, and he sees it. There are a lot of things that can hook you and distract you and get you off base. If you find yourself in a rut, steer out of that rut, get yourself in a good groove. Amen? Right? Hey, the greatest command in all of Scripture, as they say, is when the Lord Jesus was asked, is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbors yourself. So if you stay connected with God in the vertical, in constant communion with the Lord, then it's going to affect your horizontal, earthly relationships. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It sounds so simple, right? But it becomes profound when you are the direct beneficiary of someone's love and care. So when I say be a passionate player, the second half of that is to be a compassionate teammate. To be passionate players and compassionate teammates. That's when you link arms synergistically, arm in arm, and that's when you have the power of the singleness of purpose in one direction, right? That's when synergy occurs. Synergistic living, right? As a great team, like the great Bruins teams of the past, when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So be that positive difference maker. Be the difference maker. Keep that deep down attitude of gratitude. Always thankful and grateful for what you have, what we've been given. Amen?
Because we've been given a lot. Amen? Amen. We are healthy. Amen? Amen. We are blessed.
Hi. My name is James Garry Hebert. And I'm ultimately an end user of the hospital here. I have my big open heart surgery scar. I'll be going home today or tomorrow by the grace of God, and I'm beyond grateful. And I just had to give this message to whom it may concern, because it's a message of thankfulness and gratefulness. As a coach now, 26 years, right before my surgery, they asked to do a documentary from UCLA Film School on a coaching great that had a profound influence on his players. I said, okay. It's 2 weeks before my surgery. It was a gift from God, but I was nervous because I thought, well, maybe this is a little wink and nod from God that is this a eulogy or a lasting legacy? And if it was my tribute, I was going to deflect it to the glory of God, because in the end, it's a very short earthly life we live. So long story short, I got my house in order. And as it says in the movie Braveheart, the motto is, every man must die, but not every man really lives. So I was prepared for the worst, just in case. I have 2 screws in each knee and 2 pins in each shoulder from serious injuries in sports. And I work with Olympic players and pro athletes. I lead leadership seminars and travel and speak a lot. And what I have to tell you is, in all my living years, I have not seen a team that has been put together, the likes of which have cared for me, an end user, have watched over me with a thoroughness and comprehensiveness of true professionals and experts in their field.
Add to this list that Garry has had multiple concussions in addition to a couple more near-death experiences while in college, including one off-ice injury where he almost died and was in a coma. You would think this story is a work of fiction, but all who know Garry and these true stories remind him that his life has far exceeded the 9 lives, which are sometimes allotted to some unusual individuals who are uncommonly blessed with inexplicable miracles in order that they may be chosen as the Lord's trophies of grace, God's instruments to carry his love, healing, and mercy into a hurting world, and to, in turn, bless others. Garry's purpose as a loving and merciful vessel would continue to manifest itself in the blessing of others as he possessed the lifelong conviction to pay it forward for the Lord's sake. Garry's family and friends are familiar with the details of his healings and underdog-like comebacks, and they often joke with Garry and parrot the famous phrase uttered by the legendary commentator Al Michaels when the U.S. Olympic hockey team defeated the unbeatable Russians in Lake Placid. They say, yes, we do believe that God performs modern-day miracles because we have seen it in Garry's restored life. They have witnessed the miracles in Garry's life, and for them, seeing is believing.
People tell me, Garry, you are a walking miracle 10 times over. And it reminds me of a Christian song title called Get on Your Knees and Fight Like a Man. It's still the most powerful thing we can do is pray. From that perspective, the meaning of the old quote rings true. The quote that says, sometimes when God closes the door, he opens a window.
His faith has carried him through. He never misses an engagement. In the over 30 years he's done this, he's always gone on the ice. That teaches people how to not give up when times are tough. There's been many young men and young women who have gone through hard times, especially in this day and age, that he has been there for them, that has encouraged them to not give up, to develop a deeper relationship with God. To me, it's beyond just hockey. It's beyond how good you can be. It's who they are as young men and young women, and that he genuinely does love them. It's not just an act. He can teach kids how to be good hockey players, but most importantly, how to be great people.
No doubt about it, God is still a God of miracles. Against all odds, talk about the power of prayer. Prayer still moves mountains and often defies all expectations. Amen?
I spent my entire career telling stories. That's what I did. Stories about brands, people, companies. I don't think I ever came across a more interesting story naturally than the story of Garry Hebert. His faith, his commitment, his drive, his kindness, and his just overall persona was unlike anyone I had ever met at that time, and probably unlike anyone I've met at the age of 65. He was amazing. And I think that's what makes him so fascinating and so interesting and such a great topic for a documentary like this, because there just aren't people like him out there. They don't exist. He's 1 in 300 million, if that's how many people there are in the United States. He's that special.
If you think that this story is incredible now, and trust me, it has been, the amount of miracles that have happened in my uncle's life, second to none, even recently. You ain't seen nothing yet. Not even close.
Coming up next.
He had a certain, type of mentality to be a warrior, to overcome, to be strong.
I went back my senior year, was having a great senior year. We were down at a Harvard-Brown doubleheader.
He was trying to call his wife to tell her that he had a really bad hit, and would she pray for him?
Bang! Guy nailed me right in the side of the temple. I played the rest of the game. I don't remember it.
I was more upset about the head injury, because he didn't show emotion and being upset around me. He probably didn't want to stress me out or upset me.
Garry had to tell the team. The team was in shambles. They were a mess. Fans got robbed. Probably the Canadians got robbed because I know they were high up on Garry, and he's someone that I think would have had a long NHL career if it were not for the injuries.
I notified my coaches and my teammates that the agreement of that third doctor was that I couldn't afford one more shot in the head like that.
And I had swollen eyelids and a slurred speech and was nauseous and throwing up and dizzy, and the shades had to be drawn. I was sleeping all the time.
Just heartbreaking for us,
It was a miserable, what would be an ensuing next 2.5 years, till my brain started healing itself substantially.
He felt very badly that he couldn't go on with his hockey career.
Garry went down to the trainer's room, and the trainer had this full-on look on his face. Garry said, "What's up?"
Your new skates just came in. And I just remember walking thinking, God, what? New skates.
Garry got an offer. He's still in college, and he was being offered an assistant coaching job at a high school up in Vermont. And he felt it was a gift from God saying, "Hey, Garry, here's the new direction you're going to take." Michael Connell was a friend of mine, and Michael Connell worked for the Bruins and called me and said that Garry Hebert was one of the guys he was getting to come help with the Bruins with skating. I ran into Mike Milbury once and I asked him about it, and he had said the same thing, that Garry was helping out in the minor league teams and it was with the Bruins organization helping out.
During that championship run, we get a penalty shot awarded to us, and one of the girls goes down, and wouldn't you know, she pulls this Garry Hebert move and pops it in, and we end up winning the game 1-0 on that penalty shot. And so it was a little bit of Hebert magic.
Garry Hebert was known for his epic locker room speeches where he was able to change the tide of a game in between periods with passionate speeches that he made to the team.
Know the kind of mountains you have climbed to get to the point where you are after 5 hockey games. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Do you know what it took to get here?
He's been in the business almost as long as I have, if not longer. This will be my 30th year coaching, and Gary's been there every step, and we bump into each other at the rink a ton of times.
Then let that toe slide. That's toe slipping, right? We want, remember, reach, draw that ice, suck that ice right under and extend. Reach, draw, and extend.
He's a consummate entrepreneur. He's both built and developed 3 very successful businesses. He's been a trainer for other trainers, a mentor for so many, and a coach helping guide other coaches.
As far as Gary's faith-based teaching approach to kids, second to none. He teaches them about being honest, being kind, volunteering, just being an all-around good person. And it works so great with my daughter that she'd come home from Gary's leadership class and she'd be telling us all and teaching us everything that she learned. That's the reason I volunteer now. Emma found this group, the Great Blizz, 5 or 6 years ago, which is a developmentally challenged group that's so fantastic. The kids are unbelievable, and I went with her and I fell in love with the program.
Garry is such a special hockey coach because he cares about the person behind the player. He cares about your passions. He cares about why you're playing hockey, and he cares about what you want to do in the future. And he cares about so much more beyond hockey.
Within the sport of ice hockey, my greatest thanks and appreciation is to Garry Hebert. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I remember always making the B team as a young boy before I even understood tryouts. But as soon as I started going to these World Academy of hockey camps with Garry, my ability on the ice and my attitude about who I was changed. And I think that's very meaningful because while the game is great, there's also bigger things going on than that and who these young boys and girls are going to become, right?
The legend of Garry Hebert starts with him jumping over the net when I was about 13 years old in awe, going home to tell all my friends. People in all of hockey ranks still talk about it today.
He's in the same tiers, I think, with Thomas Edison, Ben Franklin, and then I got Garry Hebert.
That's something that I'll always remember about Garry, whether he's jumping over nets or doing spinoramas or just any kind of execution. I mean, it is just absolutely lights out.
I think he's truly one of a kind in his craft, and can't thank him enough for all that he's helped me with growing as a player.
I have never seen a better motivational coach, technical skater, great stick handler. I learned so much from this guy in 7 years. I could just go on and on. Actually, I started at age 52. I'm 59 now. I've won so many things, awards and things that I never dreamed of, all because of the extra effort Garry put in with me.
You know Ralph Catella. He got cancer, he got bladder cancer. I have never seen an individual fight with more of a sense of singleness and purpose than I have Ralph Catella. You saw him on the ice, a few months ago? He came on the ice, guys. He didn't defy what doctor's orders. He got the doctor's blessing. He came on the ice. He laced up his skates. He can hardly breathe. His lungs are folded in. He's got fluid buildup. And oh my gosh, he came and he skated. And you know what that's called? Good old-fashioned willpower.
And all of a sudden, from the back of the crowd, you hear this beautiful voice singing Amazing Grace, booming. Well, everybody stopped talking. You could hear a pin drop, and Garry starts walking up from the back singing. At the same time, the sky opened up and the sun came out. The sun shone down right on Matt's casket. It was ethereal. It was the most mystical, magical moment. As he continued to sing, it got brighter.
He's a man of great virtue, and I would say the virtue that is at the center of Garry is that virtue of love, really authentic love. There are very few people that are as sincere as Garry in terms of just expressing and being willing to say, hey, I love you. Kind of frees them to give the appropriate response back. Garry, I love you too.
You raise me up till I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on the stormy seas.
Garry is someone who makes you feel safe on the ice, and he makes it okay to fail, and then taught us the skills that he has, that he's a world-class skater, stick handler, motivator, but also he's just an incredible mentor to so many people.
More than I can be.
We love you guys so much.
I was actually Garry's roommate in a holy place called Medjugorje in Bosnia-Herzegovina, where millions of people go on pilgrimage every year and where the Blessed Mother has appeared since 1981. And as we were looking up on the altar from several several away, we thought we saw Garry. We asked Sean to point the camera up on the altar, and sure enough, there was Garry singing in 6-7 different languages in a miraculous way. I want to thank God and our Blessed Mother for allowing me to accompany Garry on our awesome trip to Medjugorje and to continue our faith journey together through life. He has had a profound influence on my family and me, and no doubt upon all those around him. Thank you again, Garry, and I love you, my friend.